Live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ask an Engineer, or This Engineer, whatever the show's called. It's me, Ladyada, the engineer. With me is Mr. Ladyada, broadcasting live from downtown Manhattan. We're here for about an hour telling you all about the latest news in the making, engineering, hacking community. We got a lot of stuff going on, including some new chips that arrive. I'll show you some sneak peeks of that. Let's get right into it because we got a lot to cover this week.
All right, on tonight's show, we'll have some reminders, talk about shipping and all the good stuff. Our team thanks you for placing orders. You can support an independent, women-owned electronics company.
Officially women-owned, too.
Manufacturing in USA.
That's right.
By just ordering something on Adafruit. Show and tell people around the world will show and share their project. Ladyada will talk about who's on the show and tell, what they shared, and more. Time travel, we're going to look around the world, makers, hackers, artists, and engineers, and cover some current news and more. Adafruit Jobs Board, jobs.adafruit.com. You can post your skills if you want to get your resume out there and more, if you want to work for a cool company. And if you're a company, you can hire makers right from the community. We'll do some Python on hardware news, some main New York City factory footage, some 3D printing, DigiKey and Adafruit. We'll do Ion MPI. This week is Remcom. We'll do some new products. We'll answer your questions. We'll do all that and more on Ask an Engineer. And don't forget, we answer your questions over at adafruit.it/Discord. Ask an Engineer.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's first go through a couple things. We had some snow, and there's parts of the country that are still experiencing some weather, so you can see packages start to get delayed throughout the country.
Throughout the system. I have packages that are in Ohio. They're hanging out in Ohio for weeks now. I would really like them to come here. And if I'm having that issue and I ship a lot of stuff, then you know you're going to be seeing the same thing. There's snow and weather all over the United States. It's winter. This is also, partially why we tell people for holiday sales, don't wait till the last minute. We're doing our best to get stuff out as quickly as possible. There may be delays. If timing is important, try to, not wait till the last moment and ship overnight if you need it within the next couple days. But we are working fast and furious.
Yeah. Okay. Other things, we're doing the 100 days of masking, about probably 50-something days left. Mm-hmm. When you place an order on the Adafruit site, not only do you get all these things that we're just going to talk about in a second,
but
we toss in a mask USA only at this time. Okay, Ladyada, when they place an order on our site and they hit certain tiers, what do they get?
I'm glad you asked. At $99 or more, you get a free PermaProto half-size breadboard, perfect for taking your solderless breadboard project, soldering on it to make it permanent. $149 or more, you get a free STEM QT board. We have 25 different boards we will choose from to give you one. We'll pick a random one. Each time, if you have an account, you'll get a different one. Otherwise, it's really random. We call random, and whatever number comes in, that's the one you get. So collect them all sorts of sensors and controllers and devices and more. Free UPS ground shipping at $199 or more in the continental United States, and $299 or more you get a free Circuit Playground Express, our all-in-one development board that's perfect for people who want to learn electronics, coding without needing to do any soldering. You can alligator clip on or use the built-in sensors, buttons, and LEDs.
Okay, let's keep moving right along.
That's right.
Show and tell, people around the world sharing their stuff. Ladyada, who's on the show and tell this week, and what did they share?
Glad you asked. Sean came by for DigiKey talking about his free RTOS tutorial that he's been posting up on their YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/DigiKey to take a look and watch. I think he's going to do 12 episodes, and they're up to 7 this week. Doing a serial port UI while also reading a microphone input and calculating the volume. So multiple things happening at once, and using not using DMA. DMA, of course, is great, but in this case, using RTOS threads instead. We had Trev come by doing a lot more doing a lot more circuit board AR stuff in the Adafruit AR app. This week was the BLM Badge R Workshop PCB. That has a Black Lives Matter logo and all sorts of cool circuitry. It's great for people who want to learn electronics, and you can also wear it. Thanks to the AR app, it'll show you what the components are and also give you a cool yellow, circular text surrounding it that moves with the circuit board. It's incredible how good the AR technology is these days. It tracks the objects so well. And thankfully, our circuit boards are really high contrast. Maybe that's why they do such a good job. More AR stuff coming from Trev next week. Some exciting new boards are going to drop into the AR recognizer. JP published his MagTag Sports Guide. It's one of the projects that we wanted to do for the MagTag. We finally were able to do it. We had enough software support and date time management. You can use the ESPN free JSON feeds to get sports scores and upcoming games. So you will always be up to date, put on your fridge, and you'll be notified when your favorite team is playing, or if you want to follow a particular sports league, you can have it just tell you which games are up next. Next up, he did a keyboard project using a Raspberry Pi Pico, how to make your very first PCB using fritzing. Really easy. You don't need to be an electrical engineer. You don't need to be a programmer. Going to be on JP's workshop tomorrow. Also, he'll be writing a guide. Noah and Pedro published their animatronic wings tutorial. We have a guide up for that, and I think we have a video we'll show later. Scott also worked on some microphone projects. He's got a PDM in demo for the RP2040. Added support for that, so you can add PDM microphones and get audio input into your project using digital microphones. And then from the community side, built a non-contact thermometer with a BLE module from STM that takes the thermometer data and I think sends it to his phone. He has to take his temperature every day for work, and so this was kind of a cool project to do that was inspired from one of our ion MPIs. Joey has been hacking a PCB replacement for a Casio watch, and he got something going with a SAM-L21 ultra low power microcontroller with segmented LCD display controller, and is trying to add teeny USB support, so maybe CircuitPython can run on your Casio watch. Would be like super sweet. Finally, Liz has been playing around with Eurorack panels, 3D printing them with all sorts of different like filament swaps to create textures and colors and overlays for really beautiful artistic panels that are 3D printed.
All right, it's part of our Adafruit Live series of shows. If you're watching this right now, you are watching Ask an Engineer, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's right. We just wrapped up.
We just wrapped up Show and Tell, 7:30 p.m.
That's the two shows.
And on Sunday, we have Desk of Ladyada. On Sunday of this week, some of the things you showed were...
Okay, so, boy, I don't even remember. So I had some samples. I think it was a sample Sunday. We got a lot of samples from Espressif. I got ESP32S3 chips. I got ESP32C3 modules and dev boards. I think I even got some ESP32S2 flash embedded chips. So, like, a lot of stuff. I was working on a Cutie Pie with the ESP32S2, and I have to pick an antenna for the board. I want to make a little teeny antenna so that we can do Wi-Fi on the Cutie Pie, and that's what led into the Great Search, which was the second half of our stream.
All right, and then speaking of, yeah,
that's right. So we looked at all sorts of antennas for the Great Search. This one I think is like a tile glass one. I don't remember. We ended up picking one from Johansson, but there's a lot of options. I'm going to grab a couple and try out what the RSSI is and see which antenna works best for the ESP32S2 Cutie Pie board. So hopefully I'll send out those prototypes soon.
Yeah, that's right. Cutie Pie with Wi-Fi.
Come so you should watch the Great Lake Desk Lady. You're going to see all the stuff that's like
you mess around,
super new.
You find out. Okay.
Well, watch and then find out.
Yeah. So JP's workshop is every single week, and then JP's product pick of the week is also each week. And this week we have a little bit of a recap for the pick of the week.
TMP117,
yeah.
Very high precision temperature sensor.
And every week when we do these, they're broadcast live from inside of the product page, and
you get cool
you
graphics.
You get a discount.
Yeah.
So let's watch the recap.
It's the TMP117. It's a high accuracy, high precision temperature sensor. Right here in the center of the breakout board is the sensor itself. And you can see it's got that little cutout there to lower the thermal mass around it so it doesn't hang on to temperatures as long. Watch that display there, and I set my little ice pack on here from both ambient temperature, it was at like around 70 Fahrenheit, and now I'm gonna touch it I'll press my finger up against that there, and we should see that climb pretty rapidly. So now we're going up to 70, 72. You can also do some ill-advised things like stick it in your mouth. You shouldn't do this. Okay, it's definitely warmer inside of me than outside of me. So that's science in action. It's a science fact that you can take to the bank. That's our product pick of the week. It's the TMP-117 high accuracy, high precision temperature sensor.
All right, the CP's workshop, you can watch that tomorrow. And then also don't forget, also on our live shows on Friday this week is Deep Dive with Scott, and then next week it's going to be on Thursday.
Yeah, Scott's going to be still working on RP 2040. It's a good time. I might show up on Fridays. I'm going to come by, show off whatever hardware I'm working on. But I think he's going to be doing the Flash rework system, or maybe some other PIO stuff. I don't remember what it was.
All right, let's do some time travel. A couple things this week, and then we're going to do Adafruit jobs. So on our blog, if you want to check out the latest video from Natalie and Diana Eng, you can check this out. This is the Pulse live chat, and it was during it's for the Telfar Museums. And here is a description. If you want to see how kids are learning at home,
Yeah.
especially of course now, check out the STEM Chat Live on our blog right now with Natalie and Diana. This is from the January 28th live broadcast. Here it is now on our site. Next up, AdaBox still coming. If you don't sign up, you will not get an AdaBox.
Well, I think we actually are full up. So
No, we
we're
still have
not?
some. Yeah.
Oh, we have some? Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Don't believe me. I'm a liar. What he says is true. What I say is a lie, and you don't know which one. I don't know. So, yes, AdaBox in a couple months. Check it out. Sign up. If we do run out and you have not subscribed, do sign up, because once in a while people will cancel and a spot will open up and we'll notify you.
Okay. All right. Next up, let's do the Adafruit jobs board. I just want to mention this one because it just came up today. So I put it on the jobs board and it's featured. This is a program coordinator for Fuse, Northwestern University. Fuse, a STEAM program for middle and high school students based Northwestern University. Seeks program coordinator who is passionate about STEAM and equitable access for students, who loves tinkering, makes 3D printing, enjoys working with educators. Hope you'll join us or help spread the word. So check out the application details and more. It's full-time, it's for a nonprofit, and it was on the Adafruit jobs board today, jobs.adafruit.com. All right, next up, because it was all over Twitter since last night, and a million people are talking about it and more, Fry's closed down all of their physical stores, which was already kind of happening, but then the online site as well. So, in all these different chat rooms, of course, share your Fry's memories, but basically, here's what they said. After 36 years of business, a one-stop shop for an online resource for high-tech professionals across 9 states and 31 stores, Fry's Inc., Fry's or Company, has made a difficult decision to shut down its operations and close business permanently as a result of changes in the retail industry and challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. The company will implement the shutdown through the orderly and wind-down process that it believes will be in the best interest of the company. You can read the rest of it on Fry's.com, but basically, that's it. So, ones in our lifetimes.
I wish I never got to visit a Fry's.
Yeah,
It's
so this
really
is the Burbank one, and it was like, they had like movie.
Have you ever been in there?
Yeah, not the Burbank one, but whatever one was in California. I think it was not too far from.
Yeah.
It must have been when I was living in San Francisco, so somewhere around there.
I know that they're all. I mean, they don't have them.
Mateo.
In East Coast, we don't have them. We have Micro Center,
Yeah.
and you do it, but we never had
So,
Fry's.
Every time this comes up, people tweet and they email and they have articles. So Radio Shack
Is electronics dead? Is making dead?
Well, they had some comparisons. Radio
Yeah.
Shack, they closed down, but now they're
back.
They're bought up, and we did an interview with the new owner.
Yeah. Well, you can watch.
Yeah,
I
you
ask
can watch.
tough questions. I get tough answers.
And you have, let's see, CompUSA in the past, The Wiz.
I remember CompUSA.
Yeah, Circuit City. There's Best Buy, of course, still around now.
Still around.
And Micro Center.
So they're doing good.
So Micro Center is still the retailer that you would go and get some forms of electronics, unless maybe some of these Radio Shack Center. But Fry's had some electronic stuff. We used to sell our stuff to Fry's, but I guess within the last few years, the way it worked was they basically wanted to do consignment, like we won't pay for anything
You
until
don't pay until
sells.
it's sold,
Yeah.
so you basically you don't have the inventory. Which, and look, I mean, like some companies do consignment. There's nothing wrong. It's a business method, but we basically just didn't want to do consignment. We're like, look, we're just not in that business because, what happens if we revise something? We sent it to you. It gets revised. You send it back, and I'm like, I can't sell it because, that's an old, like a trinket original. We don't sell that anymore. We only have the M0 or we fixed something or upgraded something. It's just, it wasn't something that we were really interested in. Every other partner, they buy stock outright. They can have net 30 terms or whatever, but we do sell it to them. Just like when we buy components from like DigiKey, we don't pay them when we use the part. We pay them when we purchase the part. So that's kind of when we stopped selling stuff into Fry's. Yeah, I wish I'd gone to. I mean, like, look, it's tough for retail. It's really tough.
Yeah. Was COVID the reason? Maybe it certainly didn't help.
It didn't help, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't what caused it.
They had already like pulled merchandise off shelves in the past, and the stores were basically empty. They had an online presence, so we'll see. I mean, there is the thought about, well, everyone just buys stuff from Amazon. So I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia that happens when something closes down, but people really aren't willing to place orders or order from someplace else. I mean, we're kind of living proof that you have to work really hard to beat Amazon. Like, we have our stuff on Amazon through one of our distributors, but if folks want to support businesses outside of Amazon, if you like the idea of going to a micro center once in a while, check out their online store. Instead of ordering from Amazon, when you would order stuff.
Yeah, I mean, one of the joys of like a store like Micro Center is, you walk around and you're like, oh, I didn't even know that existed, and here's something I forgot I needed. Like you can buy bedding on Amazon, but people still go to, Bed Bath & Beyond and other stores, even big box stores to get stuff. So I think that it's tough. I think especially if Fry's stopped having a lot of stuff in stock, I think it becomes a self-fulfilling loop of people are like, well, if I go there and they don't have it, like I just drove all the way out there and they don't have what I want. And then if you're gonna do that, you might as well order online. So if they don't keep stuff in stock, but it's hard to keep stuff in stock because you have to have all this inventory.
Yeah,
it's really hard. I mean, there's a reason why like I don't want to have an Adafruit retail store.
Yeah, we're not doing a retail store, but we will, of course, have all of our stuff in like Micro Center, and this worked out really well for Micro Center. Worked out great for Adafruit.
Totally different skills.
And then depending on how the Radio Shacks come back, that'll be one of the next things.
Yeah.
Will they stock electronics? Will they have other things? Will they have a very specific thing that makes sense for physical stores? And then how will the online store be different than just getting it from Amazon?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, these are really. I mean, they looked really cool, but I think, we've also seen a lot of closures of surplus shops. There's a lot of cool surplus shops, especially sort of in the Silicon Valley, like post, military industrial complex computing corridors. Boston also had a couple of those, from academia or from industry, and they're cool, but that's not. It's a tough business, right? Like you're selling junk. People need to have space for this junk. It's totally cool. Like I bought tons of stuff from surplus shops, but it's tough when you have a small apartment. Like, okay, I'm going to buy a vac station. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah. So we'll see. So interesting chapter. A lot of folks, fond memories of Fry's. My suggestion is, we're all going to look back and say, wow, there's only like one or two places you buy things from. You have like your Amazon Prime account and you get your TV through it. You get your household goods through it. Whole Foods is part of that. There's your audiobooks come from it.
Yeah.
Any durable goods, any appliances, or maybe there's other things. And so if Amazon continues to have low prices, which is pretty much it, convenience.
Yeah.
Do people care about quality? Well, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think they care about community.
There's also quality things on Amazon too.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens, next 10, 15 years. The pandemic probably didn't cause anything new to happen, but certainly accelerated things.
It accelerated. Look, this price thing was. I was, when you told me, I was like, they were still around. Like, I was surprised because I remember hearing that they were basically kind of, on their way out a couple of years ago. People could tell, but I think this is a challenge of retail. It's not easy, but yeah, people, if you like a retail store, visit it. We definitely we have retail stores in our neighborhood, and you get delivery from them. Or when we were able to go to stores, we would go to stores and we would purchase, even though it's like, can I get it cheaper on Amazon? Yeah, but I really like this chocolate shop. I'm going to go in, we walk by and be like, oh, let's go in and to buy a bar of chocolate.
Electronics, you can search on lots of sites. So people will order something on AliExpress, takes 4 weeks, but you're okay with waiting. Then there's eBay, and then there's Taobao, Alibaba, and then of course you can buy stuff from Adafruit, buy stuff from SparkFun, Pololu, DigiKey, Mauser, Arrow. So you have to figure out what you want to see in the world. One single customer can't change the fate of your business, but one single customer can talk to another customer, talk to another person, and those things all together can help out. So I think it's a good reminder. If you want to see something, support them the best you can. It's not all on your shoulders. But, if you like Adafruit, for example, buy something from Adafruit.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's do Python and hardware.
Okay. It's Blinka time. We are having chunky newsletters because there's so much stuff happening with CircuitPython, with libraries, and with the RP 2040.
Right. Number one big thing.
300 libraries. This community bundle plus released libraries from Adafruit that we support. We reached, it's actually 302, but got a couple extra in. 300, what's rocking? One of the things that I've seen people say about CircuitPython that they really like is that they don't have to worry about finding a driver for sensors, displays, e-inks, chips, whatever. We have the driver ready for you to go. It's tested, even comes with example code. So relish in that wonder.
All right, I think there's a theme. Python turns 30.
Yeah, 3 threes and zeros. 30 years ago was the first release. Guido tweeted about it. And then they have a long release cycle, and now we're on Python 3. So 10 years per major release. All
right, we have the CircuitPython 2020 Roundup. You can read the roundup of all the CircuitPython responses received from the community. That's on our blog. If you want to see some of the PyCascades coverage, the talks
videos are live.
Going up and will continue this week. You can check that on YouTube. You can look at a review of the overview of Scott's deep dive. Jepler stopped by and talked about the RP 2040 PIO and CircuitPython audio. We have a new email for newsletter submissions because there's a lot of stuff. You can email it to us, cpnews@adafruit.com, and you can also do any type of pull request or whatever in the GitHub repo. Here is a cat outside reminder. The cat is outside.
The cat's inside.
The cat is out. The cat is in. The cat is out. The cat is in. So, as usual, more electronics for cats. All right. This is a USB-C plug tester. This uses CircuitPython.
People loving keyboard capability of CircuitPython, so making little pranks with picos or making 4x4 keypad. This is a little bit like a Neo Trellis keypad thing going on there. Using CircuitPython to make cool interfaces with Play-Doh. Capacitive touch, I bet, is going on there. And making to a keyboard. Messages
and LED matrix using CircuitPython.
More Pico stuff. People digging that.
Yeah, what we're seeing is a lot of folks who want to, make something quickly and use one of the 300 or more libraries. It's a good companion to Pico.
Well, one thing that CircuitPython does, which is actually one of the first, when we brought Dan on as part of the engineering team, Dan really was excited about adding HID support because he wanted to do accessibility projects where people would create keyboard interfaces for their computer with big buttons or switches or whatever, and for a friend of his. And so he came on, did HID, and now, of course, so many people are using HID with CircuitPython.
All right.
Super stonks.
Back in the news, GameStop stonk is back in the news today. So this would have been handy if you built it in the past. I think it went up to 100 today. Along
it's
with
a Matrix portal.
Movie theaters. They're called meme stocks now.
Yeah. So watch your meme stocks.
Yeah. Okay, here's some more stuff. Crystal Ball predicts the weather using CircuitPython, Adafruit PyPortal. And if you want to set up MicroPython for the PyPico, NeoPixel, Firefly jars with Raspberry Pi Pico MicroPython. Here is a Pico alarm clock.
Cool graphics, more Pico hacking and
There
CircuitPython.
is just so
Python
much
news.
going on. So check that out.
Oh, this is cool. The F sharp. So this is a Python like open source flight controller that like has support for like software and hardware. It's all open source. It's on GitHub. So I think it's the software that's running the helicopter that's on Mars, the little quadcopter.
Yeah, they use a framework, I guess, for all the NASA.
Yeah.
There's now more open source computers on 2 planets.
Yeah.
So Mars and Earth.
I can't wait till we have CircuitPython on Mars.
Yeah, well,
Eventually.
we might. We find out of these things later too, because our stuff is in satellites, CubeSats. So who knows? You find out later. But you'll be able to tell when that happens because it'll be in the newsletter. Check out the latest boards that we have in there. It's an easy way to keep track of stuff.
Yeah, a lot more boards coming because all the RP2040 chips are arriving.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a bunch of new boards get added, probably like 10 or 12 new boards
Yeah, there's
coming
like
next week
150
or
or
two.
so. There's a lot. And check this out on Adafruit Daily. This is where you sign up for this newsletter. It's spam-free. It's on a separate website. Never spam. We don't harvest your emails. We don't have pop-ups or all those things to make it terrible. And that's Python and hardware news this week.
Thank you, Blinka.
Okay, we're an open source hardware company to prove it. We have 2,424 guides. Ladyada, what was on the big board this week?
Okay, so first off, I got a couple things that I want to let you know about the Learn system that I got updated. First up, when you go to the new guide section, it now shows you the last 90 days of guides, not 30 days, so you have even 3 times more inspiration. And second, now when we make like significant changes to a guide, like really update it for like a new package or a new chipset, like it's something that makes it worthwhile for you to check it out again, not just typo fixes, but like real changes. We update the guide and the guide comes back up to new guide. So we'll probably call this new and updated guides maybe. But okay, we got the MagTac Sports Schedule Viewer from JP using the ESPN JSON feed. We can show you the latest and most up-to-date scores for sports. You can pick what type of sports you want to follow. So like, men's basketball or hockey or football, whatever season it is. You can even select the different sports or seasons or leagues with buttons. Kattni's updated the Adafruit BMP 388 and 390 guide. We have now STEMMA QTFI'd that sensor, so it's been bumped up. We've got these cool new animatronic cosplay wings from Noah, Pedro, and Aaron. We don't have a video, but check it out. It's you can make any wings animatronic. It's a harness that you wear with 2 middle gear servos, a potentiometer that you can use to change the speed. It's all in CircuitPython. We tried to make it as easy as possible for cosplayers to get started and build their own animatronic wings to make their costume more lifelike. Jan or Jan, sorry, I don't know how you pronounce it, wrote a guide. This is a really cool guide. This is on how to analyze motors to know the right PWM speed to get the most torque out of them, because motors do have, you want to have lower frequencies, I think, give you more torque, but higher frequencies reduce like the rattle or maybe the sound effect. There's some reason why you want higher frequency. I think like maybe you get more precision in stepping. I don't know. But check out this guide. It goes into it in detail. Also, thanks to this guide, we had a couple pull requests and improvements to our libraries to let you change the frequency. We've also did an update to the Tricolor Gizmo guide because we have a secondary gizmo now. We'll show off in the new product section, which is high density, which is 200 by 200 pixels instead of 150 by 150. Trevor has updated the Bluetooth app to Swift 5. Swift, it's swiftly changing constantly, so we're going to be updating this guide as new versions of Swift come out. This shows you basically if you have one of our Bluetooth hardware devices, you want to build a Swift app to interface with that hardware. You don't want to necessarily use our big app and then pull it apart, but you can use this basic chat app that will just take you through the basics of like pairing and connecting and just transmitting a little bit of data back and forth and then you can build on that to make your UI. We've also got, again, another update to the 1.4-inch e-ink display. Like the Gizmo, this is now 200 by 200 instead of 150 by 150 pixels. So we just added to the guide, making sure people know which one to use. We have a guide just on our 1.54-inch breakouts. And then Jepler wrote a cool guide called NeoPIO. This is really interesting. So the PIO controller in the RP2040 has got this little state machine thing that you can push pixels around. And I always want to do this project where we drive 8 NeoPixel strips, but not from 8 GPIO pins. Instead, we use a shift register, use 3 pins, and you clock out 8 bits at a time, and you clock it at the exact right rate to be able to drive NeoPixels. And like, Jepler got it working. He said he like kind of got it working like first try, which is cool. But what's neat about this is, of course, you can add more shift registers, right? You can add as many as you want, so you can drive 24 by adding 2 shift registers, as long as you can clock the peripheral fast enough. That was kind of a cool hack. So that's the and then we got more guides from last week. Check it out. Lots of really great inspiration for your next build in the learning system. And now 90 days worth.
Next up, we have some factory footage. First up, some selective soldering.
Love it. It's like a fondue pot, but for metal. I think here we're doing some Grand Centrals. Yes, the forbidden fondue. I don't know, these are like drops of solder.
Yep.
I don't know what these are for. It's just cool art. Okay, this is us testing 7 setting back. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Here's a bag of diodes.
Yeah. This is a day on the machine line, I think. You see. I think Andy and Hector.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to, they're very, and Dana, they're very fast. Cleaning off the stencil squeegee.
And for the folks who were asking when we were going to have the RP2040 chips in,
guess what?
Boom! Here's a tray.
How do we know it's the RP2040 though? Oh, close. Far? Near?
Yeah.
There you go. Beautiful logo on there. So we're going to get the Feather RP2040 PCBs. They're on the way. Got a stencil on order. I'm working on the tester, and we're going to start jamming out. We got the Feather and the Itsy you can sign up for, and the Cutie Pie as well. So we'll talk about that soon.
All right. That's the factory footage. And, of course, we have some footage from this is a Disney building across the street from us.
Now they're pouring concrete, and they're building this retaining wall, looks like.
Yeah.
They're doing it. Okay.
And like a little hummingbird, and it feeds the other birds or something.
Yeah.
All right, and then we had some snow.
It's kind of cool to watch it while it's snowing. Very peaceful.
Yeah. Okay, 3D printing, we have a couple of videos. We're going to do them back to back. The first one is the animatronic wings.
Yes.
And then the next one is a speed print. So
okay.
We'll do those back to back. See you on the other side.
Hey, what's up folks? In this project, we're building a set of animatronic wings. These wings are motorized and controlled with a potentiometer so you can adjust the speed. 3D printed parts hold everything together and can be customized to fit your cosplay. We designed this to be a DIY kit that folks can make with electronics from Adafruit. The wings are powered by an Adafruit feather along with the Servo feather wing. The two are fitted on a feather wing doubler and secured to a 3D printed backplate. The wings are attached to 3D printed brackets that are secured to Metal Gear servos. These are strong enough to support medium weight wings with ball bearings as counterweight. Elastic straps allow you to wear them like a backpack so you can easily put them on. You can detach the wings and swap them out, so if you want to drag in an angel or a fairy, you can use this project as a platform for your cosplay. The backplate has everything nicely secured in a compact kit that's small enough for young makers. You can integrate the backplate into your costume or add extra padding for more comfort and wearability. With the doubler feather wing, you can swap out the feather and add a new one with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connectivity. You can control up to 8 different servos, so it's great if you want to add more appendages. Adafruit's CircuitPython makes these projects great for folks who are just getting started. The code was written by Aaron St. Blaine and uses the ServoKit library. The number of flutters and pauses are randomized to make it appear more organic. We think this is a great example for servo-controlled animatronics. The code is open source and available to download on GitHub. We designed the CAD in Fusion 360 and modeled parts so they're parametric and adjustable. Our layer by layer tutorial walks through the design and how the parts work together. The 3D printed parts are designed to print without any support material. Be sure to check out the Learn Guide for a full step-by-step tutorial on building this project. Links are in the description. We hope this inspires you to try Adafruit's CircuitPython for your projects. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Okay, don't forget 3D Hangouts every Wednesday with Don Pedro. Now time for DigiKey and Adafruit present
Art on NPI.
this week's INMPI, brought to you by DigiKey. Adafruit is Remcom.
Recom. Actually, yeah, I don't know exactly how to say it. Recom?
Recom?
This is a cool, powerful new NPI. I actually saw this on Reddit. I was not necessarily going there for stonks, but they have a nice chips Reddit, and somebody mentioned this power module. They're like, hey, check out this new product that just came out from Recom that's available on DigiKey. And I was like, this is really cool. I definitely want to show this on INMPI. So this is the Rack 05SK/C14. And this is such a cool idea that I kind of was wondering, like, really, are they the only ones who came up with this? It's a AC to DC converter, but it's in a panel mount IEC like module format. So how most people do AC to DC conversion, a lot of makers do at least, or hobbyists, is they'll use something like this. It's a wall wart adapter. You plug it into the wall, and it gives you 2.1 millimeter output DC, and then you have a DC power jack in your product, like an Arduino, or maybe it has a micro USB or USB-C end. You plug it into your USB input for your Raspberry Pi or whatnot, and now you've got power. So if you're building a product which has an enclosure, you might use an enclosed power supply. You still have to do the wiring to connect an IEC jack, but if you need something with about the same wattage as a wall adapter, but you want the finish and professionalism of having it be a panel-mounted internal enclosed power supply, this will do the job. So why not just have a DC jack? Well, number one, there's no standard for DC power supplies. I mean, they tend to be center positive, but not always. I have encountered many in my life that are negative. Another thing is you don't necessarily know what the voltage or the current capability of each one is. And if you have a standard jack, like this is a drawer I have of all these power adapters, where do they go to? Half the time I don't even know, but I'm scared to throw them out in case I need them one day. You can get them in 5 volt, 3 volt, 9 volt, 12, 24. They come in gigantic bricks and small, and people can mix and match the wrong one. And so having a 2.1 millimeter, 5.5 millimeter DC, panel jack, you have to have a lot of, you have a regulated input, but then you still have to regulate it again because you don't know for sure that what you're going to get is 5 volts or 9 volts. It could be positive or negative. So you have to add extra protection circuitry. Whereas with this, the RICOM module, you do not. So what's nice is that, it's an all-in-one, very durable metal case. And like I said, it has an IEC connector at the end. It has very nice little panel mount ears with panel mount holes. Everything is dimensioned nicely. There's multiple variations. They all come in the same size. And they all use the standard IEC power cable, which you're probably familiar from your computer or maybe your oscilloscope or other benchtop supplies. These are standardized. Unlike DC jacks, when you get one of these cables, it's always going to give you, mains power. You're going to get 100 to 240 volts AC at 50 or 60 hertz, which is exactly what this module can take. So it's quite convenient. And if this cable gets lost or you have to ship your product to another country, unlike the wall wart adapters, you don't have to worry about like a universal cable. These cables are available in every country, in every hardware store, and they're very inexpensive, and you just get the one that matches for the country, whether it's Australia or Europe or the UK. And so you don't have to, it's easier to internationalize your product because you don't have to have people like swap out or have different wall adapters. You just have a different $1 cable, which is a lot easier. And again, these are completely standardized, and you don't have to worry about weird polarities or you're not going to get 400 volts out of this or 12 volts. You're only going to get standard mains. Another thing, this is like a screenshot, but you can go to the data sheet if you want to see it in detail, is they have all the, EMC and safety and FCC and C and all those certifications are all taken care of. So if you're using in other countries and you're like, oh, I need, UR or UL or CE, taken care of for you. This is, the RICOM, the thing that they do really well is make sure that it's, you get really clean power and you're not going to have to worry about EMI from this. So if you're trying to get a product to market, especially, this can really speed it up because the power supply is, can be a big source of noise. Having something that's fully enclosed like this that gives you clean power is a beautiful thing. Each module is rated for 5 watts, but you can get different voltages. In this case, you can see I have it hooked up to my electronic load. Even though this is rated for 1 amp at 5 volts, I could pull 1.8 amps just fine. Now, it's rated for 1 amp, but I'm saying if you're going to go a little bit higher, when you transmit Wi-Fi from your, single board computer connected to this or whatnot, you don't have to worry about that. One nice thing that I did notice is that, as I cranked this up to 2 amps or so, that's kind of when it cut out. It didn't just droop, it actually just completely cut power, which I really liked. It didn't give me this nonsense like 3.2 volts or 2.5 volts. It was either a pure 5 clean or nothing, which is also really sweet. Like I mentioned, this comes in multiple different voltage outputs, preset and fully regulated from 3.3 up to about 15. Each one is 5 watts, so you just do the math. You can get much more current at 3.3 volts than the 15. What's nice is you don't have to have a separate regulator, right? The regulator is built in, so this can go straight into your board and without worry about am I going to get over voltages or under voltages or too much noise or negative polarity. So it's very elegant. Another nice thing I like, and maybe I'll show this on the overhead real fast, is you get fully isolated output. So another nice thing is this is earth grounded, and DC wall adapters of course are not. They're 2-pronged, at least in the US. Whereas this you get an earth ground in addition to the hot and neutral. And on the opposite side, you get an earth ground tab, so that you can see this is completely, metal tied earth ground. And you get isolated, here it's labeled, you get isolated negative and positive, and it is completely isolated. Like I put this on, connected my oscilloscope to it, and it's like, no, you're floating. This negative is not connected to earth at all. So that could be really useful. Again, wall adapters, most of them I think might be isolated, but it's not guaranteed. They might not be. So all of these things make it, I think, for somebody developing a product, if you want to put it in an enclosure, you want to just like not have to worry about people messing things up. You can't mess it up. This is standard, right? This is a standard power adapter, cable connector. There's no way somebody's going to put something in this that will get you a voltage other than the voltage that you're asking for. So very reliable, very durable. The whole thing is like metal enclosed. I was going to open this up, and then I kind of realized like I actually kind of couldn't. Like it's really sealed. Like I was hoping like, oh, maybe I could unscrew it, but no, it's actually like a full bent. It's like it's a pressed metal sheet. I mean, like maybe if I had like a really powerful saw, I could cut here, but yeah, you can't really open this. This is pretty much a permanent module. So quite nice. I think the body also acts as a heat sink for the internal converter. So that the RAC 0505SK/C14.
Yeah, available in DigiKey.
DigiKey has tons of them in stock. Again, if you need other voltages, check those out. But I really like it. I think if I ever have to, sometimes I have to make really nice testers, and I need to have some panel mount IEC connector, and I kind of like didn't want to have to deal with wiring a panel mount IEC jack to a power supply, because then you have like these high voltage wires hanging out. I'll just kind of use one of these, right? Like super easy, super safe.
Yeah, it looks like as long as your product is bigger than this, that would be like that's the
It's compact.
That's the thing. It's like this is really small, and I think if you can do this instead of a wall wart area.
It does one thing and it does it really well. So I think this is really cute. It's a really brilliant idea. Good job from Raycom.
All right, and that's all on MPI for this week.
Art on MPI.
All right, we're gonna do new products now.
That's right.
All right. All right. So new. The first one is coming soon.
Coming soon. You asked for it. You probably saw me showing this off on a couple Desk Ladyadas, and it's not out yet. The Cutie Pie 2040. I put one together and it all kind of worked, which is weird, but that sometimes does happen. So it's coming soon. It won't be green. It will be like this, black and white. It might look a little bit different. It's got a STEMMA QT connector. It's got 13 GPIO. RP 2040. I think it's probably going to have 4 megabytes of flash, but if people really want, I can make another version with 16. Got NeoPixel, STEMMA QT connector, buttons for reset and boot. Nice strong power supply, big capacitors, so it should be really good and stable. It's got castellated pads. You could theoretically mount this onto a PCB, but you'd have to have a cutout in the center. Maybe we'll design an EagleCAD object with the right size cutout so you can, mount this USB-C and all that good stuff. So it's, a great upgrade for the Cutie Pie. If you want something even more powerful, this is going to be like a super powerhouse.
Okay, next up, this book is back.
It's back. So this was a voluntary recall. There were a couple typos in this book, but luckily they're very easy to fix. We got new versions of the book from the Raspberry Pi Foundation. If you have a Pico and you want to use MicroPython and you want to be entertained and educated at the same time, this book is really wonderful. And I think we're sold out, but we're getting more. There's also a PDF you can download if you just want to read it on your computer screen. But it's a really cute book and a great way to learn electronics, programming, and MicroPython all at once. Next up, okay, so we've got this really adorable little fingerprint sensor. Very, very slim. It's not as cheap as others, but it's like definitely the slimmest one we've got. It's got a little Molex connector that plugs in the back. It's got a plastic piece that lets you panel mount it pretty easily, and it's basically like the thickness of like a nickel. So why don't you go to the overhead, and I can show this off and also demo it. So this is the thickness of it. So this plastic piece can come off, but you can see it's like a little panel mount assistant. This is the actual sensor itself. And I've got it wired up here to my Feather with an OLED. So let me plug it in. I can do a quick demo. Oops. There are blue LEDs on the bottom. You can see that they sort of shine through. The only reason this is flashing is because I do a timeout. You don't have to have it flash. You can have it just be solid on or whatever. It's waiting for a fingerprint. Put the fingerprint on, and I pre-programmed it with my fingerprints, so it knows about 3 different fingers. ID3. So there you go. It can detect fingers pretty well. This is definitely the slimmest one we've got. So if you're looking for something really compact, we have ones that are less expensive, but they're chunkier. But this one is very svelte. Cute fingerprint sensor. All right.
Okay. Next up.
Okay, next up, we have updated the e-ink gizmo. You love the e-ink gizmo. You're wondering, oh no, I got discontinued. What happened? What happened is the tricolor 1.5-inch displays we were using were discontinued. The display itself, I couldn't buy anymore, so we upgraded it. The new display has more pixels. It's 200 by 200 pixels, tricolor. It does use a different driver, so if you have existing code, you'll just have to change the one line of code where it picks what driver it uses to use the SSD 1681. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. It does look a little different when it updates. It flashes in a different way, but it still takes about 15 seconds. It still uses the same overall library code. So if you're familiar with CircuitPython or Arduino, you have code for both. So I thought maybe we show it on the overhead. Just one thing to watch for these e-inks, you see they take a while to update. This is normal. It does this little flickery, flashy thing. That's it slowly bringing the red in and then adding black as well. But you can see it's a really beautiful 200 by 200 pixels. It's got a great high density resolution. And of course, when I pull the power, it's still on. And I really like the red is nice and vivid. The black is, very dark, high contrast. And the resolution is very good. So, as e-paper goes, the quality is improving and improving. And as new panels come out, we'll keep updating our products to use the latest technology.
All right, next up.
We've updated the BMP388. Like many other sensors, this got a STEMMA QT-ification. Same chip, great temperature and pressure sensor from Bosch. Very high precision. Now with STEMMA QT connectors for plug and play. Otherwise, the code and schematic are the same.
All right, the star of the show tonight, besides you, Ladyada, our community, our customers, and everybody out there on the Adafruit team is...
This is, okay, I gotta get the part number right. It's the TPS 62827. I put the X on there because the part number, we could release a version that has a different chip. This is our new product for the week. It's kind of a little basic breakout, but if you need, up to 3 amp peak of 3 volt power from 5 volts, which I do for a couple products that are coming out, this breakout will get it for you. So you have a couple alkalines or lithium polymer battery, or maybe you have USB power, and you just need a lot of power at 3 volts. This is our most powerful buck converter. It's not the widest range. We have a couple that do wider range, but none of them are going to be able to give you up to 3 amps peak. This one will do 2 amps continuous, no problem. In theory, you can probably do 3 amps as well, but it does start to overheat a little bit. Also, you have to make sure that your cables are nice and thick. This is a 2-ounce copper PCB, so that should help a little bit with the current transfer. It uses this really nice TI buck converter that we found. And it has even a little power good LED that lights up as long as the input voltage is in the right range. So if you're like me and you need a lot of 3 volt power, check out this buck converter.
All right. What's our products?
New.
All right. I do not think we have a top secret this week, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, good.
I have some store stuff.
So I have some questions lined up.
Yeah,
We're going to get to those right away. And if you haven't already, go to adafruit.at/discord, and we will get to them. And let's do some questions. The ones I have lined up already.
I'll hit him.
Okay.
Tell me.
First up, if you could start over how Adafruit evolved, what would be the most significant thing you would change?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, it's always a journey. Geez, I don't know.
If we were to start it over, that means we would be in present timeline.
I think,
right now.
If you know everything you know now, but in the past.
But we would be starting it now. So
I wouldn't let people tell me not to make hardware. I mean, I think that was the only regret I really have is there's people who told me not to make hardware and I listened to them. And that was
Briefly. Yeah. Yeah, I was there when they... Yeah, these are people and companies we know. We wish she just wouldn't make hardware.
Yeah.
Do other things like write code for us or something.
Yeah.
I would say if we're starting a hardware company now, and this is for a lot of you out there,
Yeah.
we built our web store on open source software.
Yeah.
And obviously now we would use something like a Shopify, or we wouldn't be it's a technology company and it's a hardware company.
Yeah, at
and
the
it's-
time there was not. I
yeah.
mean, like there was no Shopify. It was
So-
like you install Zencastr.
Yeah, and
like,
and the thing is, not because we would permanently be on something else, but
you get started a lot.
but
faster.
you get started a lot faster and focus on hardware a lot faster. In fact, there's a lot of things like you could start selling your stuff on Tindy, and then you can move into your own store, or you can find a cool partner like us, and we'll sell it on our store.
Yeah.
And then we have thousands of distributors who sell our stuff. Like DigiKey and Mauser. In
Yeah,
particular,
I mean,
Micro Center is
yeah.
a physical retail. So I would say I would probably, because I know how long things take and I know where the ultimate destination is. And at the time, there was nothing available to really jumpstart your web store. You just had to build something from scratch with like a PayPal buy button, and that's
Yeah.
what you did. So I think that would be the thing is like there's more, if you could do it over now, there's more things that get you going faster. You still have to say like I want to do hardware all the time. You still have to, there's still a lot of things and you learn so much and you can control so many things, but that's one of the advantages right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, someone summarized it nice. Like focus on your core business, delegate what you can. It's like that with software now because if you wanted to start a web store 15 years ago, you also had to make the web store.
Yeah.
Okay. You also give up a lot of control with that, and things aren't as easy to do custom stuff with. Eventually, you do have to. You do need.
You
to
do
make your own-
eventually have to move
Yeah.
there, but you can delay it for quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, give me more questions.
Okay. Next up, could you make an RP 2040 board that's the same form factor of a STEMMA QT sensor?
That's pretty much the QT Py 2040. I couldn't. You can't really make it any smaller than that. Because you need to have so much supporting circuitry and like all these capacitors and the external flash. So I think the QT Py is kind of as small as I can get it and still have it, have all the hardware and buttons that you need to do things and a STEMMA QT connector.
Okay. Do you know when the Matrix Portal will be back in stock, or if there's another suitable display
so
controller combo?
We're waiting for Wi-Fi modules, which hopefully will ship soon now that Chinese New Year's over. Check if DigiKey has them in stock. We have a buy on DigiKey button. The code could be easily adapted to, the Clue, for example. That's one of the things we originally wanted to do it for, or a Matrix Portal. Or a PyPortal, or a PyPortal Titano. So if you're willing to do a little bit of CircuitPython code, you could probably easily adapt the code over because it's just using display I/O. You would just change the font to be bigger.
Yeah. Okay, do USB-C female ports exist that you could just solder onto the footprint of a micro USB for converting things to USB-C?
No, not at all. It's totally different.
Okay. For handwriting recognition on a small screen, Raspberry Pi, or would something smaller work?
Handwriting recognition is extremely hard. Only a Raspberry Pi is going to be able to do it fast enough that people would not hate it.
What do you think our price range is going to be for the Feather 2040 once it comes out?
It's definitely between $10 and $15, but I actually don't know off the top
Under
of my
20.
head. It's under 20.
There you go.
There you go.
Is RP 2040 faster than other microcontroller platforms, or is this hype over this microcontroller because of the Raspberry Pi branding?
It's definitely fast, right? It's clocked at 120 to 130 megahertz, which is very fast for a Cortex M0. Because if you compare it to like the Cortex M0 from the SAMD21, that's running at 48 megahertz. If you're comparing it to STM, that's 72, right? Which is still quite fast, but not as fast as 125 or 133. It's dual core, which is kind of nice. It's got these cool PIOs, which I think is makes up for you can do custom peripheral stuff. I think what's particularly interesting about this chip is it's very affordable. Now the price of the chip isn't public, and to be honest, I don't actually know what it is because the chips I've gotten so far were sent gratis. But it's going to be, from my discussions with the Pi team, it's going to be significantly affordable, and it's got a ton of RAM. Much more RAM than most Cortex M0 boards, right? 264K is a lot of SRAM. And if you're doing stuff like machine learning or embedded Python or, data analysis, where you need a lot of buffer memory. Nothing really beats SRAM for speed and access, and it's got tons of it.
Okay. Is RP2040 with the ESP32 on it for connectivity feasible?
Yes, you could absolutely do it. In fact, I tried out the RP2040 Feather with our airlift feathering, and it worked just fine.
Okay. How do you decide if the radio performance of the QT Py ESP32S2 is good enough for what you're designing in the antennas?
50 feet.
Okay.
50 to 100 feet is my goal. I mean, we did the Circuit Playground Bluefruit, which, is a total crime scene of Bluetooth layout design. It's a 2-layer board, not a 4-layer. The antenna's in the middle. Totally not supposed to do that at all. But, we went out to a park and we got 50-foot range, right? We got very good range, line of sight indoors and outdoors. Good enough that I said this is a good experience, right? And that's part of the agreement when you do wireless. It's like you can always get something better, but you have to decide what's good enough. So I'm going to try 50 feet.
Okay. Next up. Is there anything that prevents 2 CDC endpoints like the Feathers, like the M4, or Sense, like you said this week was possible with the RP2040?
We have now 2 CDC endpoints for CircuitPython, and in TD-USB, you definitely, if you're doing low-level code, you can just write the code yourself.
Yeah.
As many as you want.
Next up, can we drop the Pi Zero purchase limit? No. That's the limit we agreed to, so that's what we're going to continue to do. The next one, could you have an RP2040 with the phone LTE
Sure.
chip on it?
Go for it. It's got a UART. Connect it to whatever you want, right? It's just like a microcontroller.
Okay. And I think... Have you ever used a RageBridge V2 PID 3567 in a project? If so, what is it? What impressed you about it, the RageBridge to put in the Adafruit store?
The developer is really cool. He's a really good engineer. And anything he designs, I know, is going to be the best possible thing you can get, and that's why we stock it.
Okay. And I think that might be it. Let me just check other places.
Yeah, sure. I'm here to answer questions.
Oh, considering getting a used pick and place, is there some place I could get trained that type of machine before committing?
Don't get a used pick and place. That's my recommendation. I have never seen anyone who got a used pick and place and said, wow, that was a great idea.
So, yeah.
I would rather, I'd get a cheaper one new with a service contract than get a used one. Even if that means getting something like a Neoden or whatever, just like a beginner. Even having gotten multiple new pick and places, it's a struggle, right? It's bad enough when it's due and you have support. I can't even comprehend if you don't have a service contract and you don't have tech support for these machines.
Additionally, trying to find a company that has the same one that you're going to be getting working and then saying, hey, can you stop production and train me on this machine? Just bringing a person in from the outside now with COVID is hard. However, workplace training has to happen. It's like that's a tough one to figure out. Like, how would you get trained on a machine that you might be buying from someone else to use? So I think when you buy a machine, or you can work with a contract manufacturer and have them run the machines. When you buy one, though, that's usually when you get the training and you can get a service contract. And we've needed to use it for all of our machines. It's one of the great things about them is part breaks. Overnight part.
They're beasts of machine. You can't really fix them yourself. People I know with who got used machines, it took them a very long time to get them up and running. I don't think it's worth it. That's my opinion, though.
Okay. Pierce, ESP32 8266 has taken off at a much faster rate than LoRa. Do you see the same trends as LoRa reaches peak? No, these are pretty different things.
Yeah, I mean, they're cellular is also popular. But people, it's what people want to use. If you want to use Wi-Fi, then those are good Wi-Fi chips. But I don't think you can really compare different wireless protocols.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's Bluetooth chips that we use, and then there's Wi-Fi, and it's not that one's taken off faster than the other. It's just a lot of it depends on those are closer because they're
But they're so different. I mean,
Yeah.
like you can't compare it. I don't see any situation where you would use them interchangeably. They solve different problems.
Yeah.
You can watch our IoT video series to learn about when you'd want to use each one.
Yeah, but that being said, I mean, we see a lot of projects, and there's always LoRa projects, and there's always ESP32 projects. All right, I think that is going to be the questions that we got through tonight. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, one more. Sorry.
Yeah.
There was. Does Adafruit make a USB charging module that passes the data lines, either over another USB or some pin?
Yeah, I think the latest solar charger, like the BQ24 something, I bring out the D plus and D minus pins.
Okay. That's our questions for this
Okay,
week.
great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, that's our show for this week. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be here next week. Special thanks.
It's like a good fidget spinner too, by the way. This Ricom thing.
Yeah.
It's nice to hold.
It does remind me of like futuristic things. Like every time you're messing around with like the power supply in the Enterprise, next generation
Yeah,
of
they're
Ford,
like-
they're always like power supply pink, and it's like okay, it's
It always
like
plugs in nicely.
all this needs to be is a crystal, and then
Like
you're kinda
glowing
yeah.
pink, and then like it comes out of Data's head or something.
Yeah, something like that. But it's very futuristic that it does all that in that compact
Yeah, it's
module.
cute.
We'll be here next week. Thanks for behind the scenes stuff, Jessie May.
Okay, thanks, Jesse.
And thank you all of our Adafruit team members that are in the chat, and thank you all of the community members. Don't forget, we are shipping smart and safe. Our entire team. Thanks you. Here's some pre-COVID photos. When you buy something from Adafruit, you are supporting a USA manufacturing company that's trying to get through this just like all of you are. So we can help each other. We'll make cool stuff, do shows, release open source software and hardware. All you got to do is buy something once in a while.
Yeah,
Not a
thanks.
bad deal.
Think of all the stuff that we do for you. For
Not
free.
about but think of all the stuff that
Yeah,
the community does with and for us and our team. So it's a neat partnership. Let's keep it up. We lasted longer than Fry's, not in terms of the number
Yeah,
of years, but just where we're at on the timeline. So not bad.
Yeah.
Hanging in there. So all right, we'll see everybody next week. Thanks so much. Here
Thanks,
is your
everybody.
moment of Zener.